Well, hello everyone, I'm Postmaster Radio and it's time to bring on the funny. Oh yeah, you're listening to Ujokes Weekly, the one and only podcast highlighting Jonathan Mangum's fantastically funny virtual comedy show Ujokes, where comedians compete for the best jokes, plus you guys and gals on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch also have a chance to dominate. It is literally comedy gold at your fingertips, simple as that. Now, before we get into this week's Ujokes show, kind of a bit of an interesting one, with one professional comedian and Jonathan's lovely producer, Josh. Yeah, I know, kind of an interesting lineup for this week's Ujokes show. I'll get to that in a minute, but first, let me remind you that if you missed the most recent Ujokes show with Sean Polofsky and Monroe Martin III, catch up via the podcast link in the description. You can also watch the Ujokes show on the Ujokes YouTube channel, which, by the way, you should subscribe to if you have not already. Also, to continuing listeners of the podcast, brand new ones too, thank you so much for joining me this week. If you happen to be listening from Apple Podcasts or Podchaser, please leave those ratings and reviews if you can. Now, about this week's Ujokes podcast. As usual, we have the top 5 countdown and the Ujokes Awards, so that's all in good fun. But the players are what's definitely different about this week's Ujokes show. For the one who, as you'll soon find out, dominated this week, Amy Vorpahl. She recently appeared on FMK Champions, hosted by College Humor's Carolyn Page, which reminds me, that show is not going to be hosting a new episode this week, but it will be back next Wednesday, the 29th, at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 Eastern, if all goes to plan. But yeah, Amy Vorpahl. And then Chris Spencer was supposed to compete against her, but unfortunately that did not happen because for the first time in Ujokes show history, Chris Spencer was a no-show. This is the first time somebody has been a no-show without any notice, none of the whole, oh, sorry, but I have to cancel at the last minute kind of a thing. So that's why Jonathan's producer, Josh Flom, ended up being the Chris Spencer substitute. The unofficial Chris Spencer substitute, but still. Oh, and if you're wondering why didn't this week's last show's best winner fill in for Chris, you'll find out soon enough, but in the meantime, let's get this Ujokes podcast going with the top 5 countdown. And speaking of the unofficial Chris Spencer substitute, I think this is also a first for the Ujokes podcast, but at spot number 5 on the countdown, Ujokes producer Josh finally makes the countdown thanks to a game called Bumble Brag. Bumble Brag is the name, and the game at hand is for the picture of a lonely man on the beach, who seems to be drinking diet root beer, although I don't know exactly what he is drinking, and there's a beautiful sunset behind him, but that's not the point. The point is, for the Bumble Brag game, were this monstrous pic to pop up on somebody's dating profile, what would that person's profile say? And you know what? To the unofficial Chris Spencer substitute himself, Josh, of course I have to give you props on this one. Not only for semi-successfully switching places with Chris, but also for what might now be an unofficial rule for Ujokes, but maybe should be in the future. When in doubt, pun it out.
I may be divorced, but at least I have a son.
A son! Yes!
Yeah, so first of all, not too shabby, Josh. But second, it's one thing to be the producer of the Ujokes show and just pick the jokes from team audience in each and individual round. One thing to be a producer, it's another thing to do the things that Josh does and simultaneously play on the show. So kind of like a dual role kind of a thing, which, let me tell you, is not that easy to do. So again, huge bravo to Josh. This is probably the most Josh-centric episode we're going to have for quite a while. And good thing we got that out of the way too, because right now we go to the one who dominated, Amy Vorpahl. At spot number 4, we go to a game called What's This Invention? And for the picture of a woman in some sort of weird chair with what I assume are springs, or curlers even, covering some parts of her legs, based on that pic, Amy had to come up with the best possible invention name. Now, she lost the round to Josh aka unofficial Chris Spencer. But you gotta admit, Amy sprung into action with this one.
What is this invention?
Well, Jonathan, I guess you could say with all those slinkies that this chair could be called a lazy boy. Yoing.
Lazy boy, yo, 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 yo.
Well done, Amy, and still shining the spotlight on Amy. I told you she was going to dominate this week at spot number 3 on the countdown, this time for a game called Sounds Like Something. And for the sound effect of what might just be Pac-Man on drugs. Really? Really? I can't be the only one who thinks that's Pac-Man on drugs. Oh, well. Well, there's that possibility, and then there's Amy's answer, which might not be as far-fetched as you think.
I really think that sound was just Elon Musk having sex.
Oh, that is gross.
Yeah, that clip pretty much did all the talking this time, so once again, great joke, Amy. But for spot number 2 on the countdown, time to take a break from Amy's comedic streak and go to the audience. This is for something called Last Show's Best. And this is what I was talking about before. You know the winner of Last Show's Best. You know that these people, whether they watch the Ujokes show live or not, they always submit their jokes into the comment section of YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or whatever. Jonathan and Josh will always pick a joke that they like the best. And by the way, it could come from any additional mini Ujokes, caption this challenges, that might pop up on Jonathan's Facebook page or maybe the community tab of the Ujokes YouTube channel. But anyway, in any sense, whichever joke is numero uno, whoever submitted that joke gets to compete live in the final round of play on the next Ujokes show, which, by the way, if all goes to plan, is coming up on Monday, September 27th, 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 Eastern. They'll compete in the final round against the pros and team audience. That can be really handy when somebody is a no-show, like Chris Spencer in this week's case, unless, of course, the Last Show's Best winner cannot join the show, which unfortunately has happened for a few instances. That explains why Josh had to fill in for Chris, albeit more successfully than I think any of us could have ever expected. But nevertheless, this is a great joke to win the Last Show's Best title from YouTube user Gnome53 that named the movie game last week with the multiple Lincolns. And that person's joke was Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes. So there you have it. Well done to Mr. Last Show's Best, Gnome53. But now for my favorite joke of the night. At spot numero uno on the countdown, we go back to Amy. And for this one, it's for a game called Caption This, for the picture of what I would call faulty flapjacks, or like a flapjack family of some sort. I mean, makes sense to me. You've got 2 boys, a woman, and a dog, but they all have pancakes for faces. Now, I know my joke for this game, to represent team audience, was, and I quote, "Yeah, the first kid didn't turn out so good, but the others did. But I'm not allowed to," and I decided this myself, that I would not pick my own jokes, of course, because, well, you know, I'm the host of the Ujokes podcast. So, if not my joke, gotta give it to the next best one from Amy, and, you know, gotta admit, combining pancakes with superheroes, I guess it pretty much made this joke next to impossible to beat.
These are the Flapjastic 4.
Yep, you heard her, the Flapjastic 4. Not too shabby, Amy. And with that being said, that is it for the Ujokes Top 5 Countdown. And next up, the Ujokes Awards. It's kind of like the Emmys, except not including the unfunny parts, and if it were focused more on Ted Lasso. For Comedian of the Week, by default, we have Amy Vorpahl as the winner. She was the only actual comedian to play on this week's Ujokes show, and a lot of you felt the same, especially on Twitter, and for Instagram as well. Shout out to the Instagram voters. In favor of Amy, Martin Jones, and whoever runs the official Ujokes Show Instagram page, but we did get a couple of sympathy votes for Josh, one of which from Instagram. Shout out to Jacob Chapman. And once again, I just gotta say it, I warned you from the beginning, Amy was gonna slay the competition, but producer Josh, you do a pretty good job as the unofficial Ujokes substitute. So gotta give you props once again for that. For Game of the Week, I think they were all, for the most part, kind of evened out. So in the end, it comes down to the picks. And I'm still in love with that crazy flapjack pick. So, yup, gotta give it to Caption This for Game of the Week. Although I did get a couple of votes on Twitter for the Name the Movie game at the end of the show. You might remember that one with the picture of the bird and the gun, and it looks like some whole Saving Private Robin business. I think was Angela Rosender's joke on the YouTube chat. Yeah, that was a pretty good game too, I guess. For the Audience Award, the best joke to come from Team Audience, we also have an automatic winner in the form of last show's best, Gnome 53, Planet of the Apes. Well done, Gnome 53. And as for a manga moment, how about we just give it to the entire episode? And for the points, and he was like, Josh, I mean Chris, I mispronounced your name, and those kinds of funny moments like this where we forget for a minute it's not Chris Spencer playing, but Jonathan's producer Josh. Not for real. Not easy for Josh, I know, to be the producer and to play in the show at the same time. 2 roles in one show. That is not easy stuff. In fact, bonus Ujokes award for most successful Ujoke substitute while simultaneously producing the show. That unofficial award goes to Josh. Well done again, my man. And with that being said, that is it for the Ujokes Awards, and what a crazy Ujoke show this was. Maybe not the craziest Ujoke show of all time, but at least in most recent cases, definitely has to make the top 3 for, like, all-time craziest Ujoke shows imaginable. Now, if you want more Ujokes fun, of course, you gotta check out more new Ujoke shows. As I mentioned, if all goes to plan, the next one will be on Monday, September 27th. You can also check out the Ujokes website, created by Ujokes fanatic Craig in the UK. That's ujokes.com, link to that will be in the description. You can also get Ujokes merch, same deal for FMK merch as well. I'll leave you a link to that in the description. And you can also play in High Jokes Score, where jokes equal cash. New episode of that coming this Friday to the Ujokes Show YouTube channel. And you know what, ladies and gents, we are done. Finito. That is it for Ujokes Weekly. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. Please be sure to stay connected with me on Twitter and Instagram at Postmaster Radio. Plus, like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review on Spreaker, Spotify, the Apple and Google podcast platforms, YouTube, Podchaser, Castbox. The list goes on. The account links can all be found in the description. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, well, bye for now, my Ujokes fanatics. See ya.